Do you guys know Schoolhouse Rock? Ahem. This Schoolhouse Rock, the classic cartoon that educated millions of American kids. The episode about a bill becoming a law explained congressional gridlock to an entire generation. And how a bill becomes a law is what we're talking about today. YouTube needs an explanation of how Congress works and how a bill becomes a law for the 21st century. That's why I'm going to explain this whole process using dank memes. This is either going to be hilarious or very, very cringy. Probably very, very cringy. Shh. So without further ado, RWB Animal presents How a Bill Becomes a Law with dank memes. I already regret making this video. Okay, the first step to turn a bill into a law is to propose a bill in the first place. Let's say Senator Shrek wrote a bill to make April 20th National Swamp Day. In reality, most bills are not written by members of Congress. They can be written by anyone, but they're usually written by lobbyists. But in this case, we'll just say Shrek did it. He would have to introduce the bill in the Senate. One of Shrek's House colleagues would have to introduce the bill in the House, because you have to be a member of the House in order to introduce a bill to it. Once Shrek's Swamp Day bill is introduced to the Senate, the presiding officer of the Senate refers the bill to a committee. In the House of Representatives, the Speaker of the House refers the bill to a committee. A congressional committee is a legislative suborganization in the United States Congress that handles a specific legislative duty. A standing committee is a permanent congressional committee. Bills can even be referred to many different committees at the same time. This is called multiple referral. If the Speaker of the House or presiding officer of the Senate refuses to refer a bill to a committee, then the bill is considered dead. And because I don't have a segue, here's a slightly tilted picture of a cat. Silly cat. Bills are then sent straight out of committee. Actually, bills can be in committee for a really long time because of the immense complexity of the committee process. Let me explain. Once a bill is referred to a committee, the head of that committee, called the committee chair, then refers the bill to subcommittees. Subcommittees are the mini-committees under the authority of the larger standing committee. Subcommittees are responsible for studying the bill, adding amendments to the bill, holding hearings about the bill, and eventually approving the bill. If a bill isn't approved by the subcommittees, it's shelved, and being shelved is equivalent to being dead. Of the roughly 5,000 bills introduced to the Congress every year, over 97.5% of them die before they could become laws. Of these, most die in committee. All those bills, as dead as some spooky, scary skeletons. So tragic. The only hope a bill stuck in committee has is to be saved by a discharge petition. A discharge petition is a petition signed by the members of the House of Representatives to bring a bill from committee to the floor for consideration. Discharge petitions require an absolute majority of the Congress to agree, so they rarely actually work. Kind of like Congress in general. But if the petition does work, then the bill is sent straight out of committee. For real this time. Assuming a bill does not need help from a discharge petition, once it's approved by the subcommittees, it is sent back up to the full committee. The full committee then marks up the bill, adding many different kinds of amendments, and vote on whether they want to approve the bill for a floor vote or reject the bill. If the committee approves the bill, then it is sent straight out of committee. Okay, if you don't close the video now, I promise not to make that joke again, deal? Now let's return to Senator Shrek's bill specifically for a second. Senator Shrek proposed his bill to the Senate, because he's a senator. Duh. And up to this point, the House and the Senate have had identical processes for turning a bill into a law. Despite this, the House and Senate have very different approaches to floor action. The U.S. House of Representatives takes a more formal approach, since it's much larger than the Senate, with 435 members to the Senate's 100. The House Rules Committee strictly regulates debate around every bill. They place it on the legislative calendar, allow specific time for debate about it, and determine if any amendments will be allowed. The merits of the bill are debated, and eventually the full House takes a vote on the bill. The Senate, with its smaller size, has less rules than the House, which paradoxically makes it even more complicated. Unlike in the House, in the Senate you're allowed to talk for as long as you want, and it doesn't even have to be related. This is called filibustering. The idea behind filibustering is to kill a bill with words, to drown it out so it can never come up to a vote. As a result of all this filibustering, 60 votes are now required to pass the Senate. This is because cloture requires 60 votes, and cloture is the ability to cut off debate on a certain bill. The filibuster does face some restrictions in budget reconciliation and nominations, but we're not going to be discussing that here. The last quirk of the Senate we're going to be discussing here is the hold. When a senator places a hold on a bill, they're asking to be informed before the bill comes up to a vote. This stops the bill from coming to the floor until the hold is removed. Finally, if a majority of the House and 60 people in the Senate vote for a bill, then we get a conference action. If different versions of a bill are passed by the House and Senate, then a conference committee is formed to work out the differences between the two bills. This is very common since most bills end up with some differences between the House and Senate versions. The conference committee is comprised of members of the original House and Senate committees. The conference committee bill is then returned to each chamber for a vote, and it has to pass their unique voting systems again. Assuming this bill survives both the House and the Senate votes, then it's sent to the White House. Once a bill reaches the president's desk, he has several options for what to do with it. The president can sign the bill into law, transforming the bill into law once and for all. He can veto the bill and send it back to Congress. But a 2/3 vote from Congress can override this veto and turn the bill into law without the president's signature. This only happens around 7% of the time, though, since it requires Congress to agree on something. Under certain circumstances, the president can avoid this possible problem by using a pocket veto. A pocket veto is an indirect veto performed by a president by simply ignoring a bill until it has run out of time in that legislative session. While an ordinary veto can be overridden by 2/3 of the Congress, pocket vetoes cannot. If a bill manages to avoid the presidential veto by either being signed or by the veto being overridden, then the bill becomes a law. And that's how a bill becomes a law. With dank memes. If you liked this video, please like and subscribe and use that First Amendment in the comments below. Thanks for watching.